Hello and welcome to Real Chats with Real Student Athletes. My name is Brett Ashley Davis, mental performance coach, and we are here with Kaitlyn Wong today. And I'm so excited to talk to her and have her go through the recruiting process as a female athlete playing soccer. So before we get into the questions with Kaitlyn, I do want to give a little bio about her. So before Ryder at attacking wingback, Wong was a four-year starter for the Walnut High School in California, playing her senior year for the Mustangs. As a junior, she was leading goal scorer in the Hacienda League, named offensive MVP, and selected to the All-League first year for the second consecutive year. At the club level, Kaitlyn played in the ECNL National League with the Arsenal FC and led her team to the Surf Cup Championship and consecutive appearances in the ECNL Champions League. At the collegiate level, she was recruited to play Division I soccer at Rider University, where she's played for 3 years. So welcome, Kaitlyn.
Hi, thank you for having me today. Excited to be here.
Great, I'm so excited. So I really want to jump right in. And I know the other day that we were speaking and I was like, this is great information. And I want to be able to share this with student athletes first and foremost, but I also think it's incredible to have parents hear from someone that was playing out in California, very progressive state, very competitive soccer, played club soccer, were in a couple different leagues, and just kind of going over that recruiting process. So I love to share your experience with parents and athletes in high school that are approaching this very soon, right? So I'm working with a couple athletes at our high school that are looking to play at the college level. So what was your recruiting process like between high school soccer, club soccer, and how heavy was it in parts of like the recruiting process starting maybe freshman year, or was it towards maybe like junior, senior year? Can you just talk about that experience and how that all kind of came about?
Yeah, definitely. So short story short, lived in California my entire life and was dead set on staying in California for college as well. But with that said, there's only so many Division I schools in the area of California that I wanted to stay in, and trying to get to those was really hard. I would say until about my junior year, I was dead set on only emailing California schools. The thought of going to school out of state never crossed my mind. So I was emailing a lot of schools in California, freshman and junior year, and that's where I don't think I was very effective. I was reaching out to these big schools that were way out of my skill level, so sending kind of blind emails, hoping I would get something back just because I wanted to stay in California. Then junior year, I started kind of opening up my options and saying, okay, like maybe look, like it's either if I want to stay in California, I play soccer at a low level or I don't play at all and I go for a good academic school. So let's open it up to other states and see what's out there. Going into my senior year, I had gotten reached out to by Rider University when I was at a showcase in Seattle. So that was really cool. Email wise, freshman, sophomore year, I was definitely the most ambitious, but the least amount of guided. So yes, sending out a million emails, but not in an effective way at all. Sophomore, junior years, when I really started to understand the process and understand what fit for me. It's not emailing a school because they're in a great location by the beach. It's more so I'm emailing the school because they have the major that I like and other attributes about the school that really attracted me into it. So yeah, by going into my senior year, I didn't commit until Thanksgiving break around then, so November, which is really late, but I'm glad it worked out that way because I ended up at Rider. Things have been really good since I've been here. So yeah, kind of my short story.
Thank you for sharing that. And I kind of want to touch on a couple of points there as far as the emailing. And I think, when we were talking the other day, and that's what enticed me to get you on here to, talk about this and just some guidance when freshmen or sophomores in high school are looking, or maybe they're getting pressured to do all these emails. Can you talk about, I think you said the other day, like the talent, like if you're the top 50 in the state, like you're probably already on the radar to get looked at. So can you kind of
Yeah.
go into that a little bit?
Definitely. So what I didn't understand my freshman, sophomore year was that the top 50 kids in every state top 50 is kind of a rough estimate of a number, but those kids in the state, they're already being scouted. So every school wants to jump on the early prospects. So if you're top 50, there's a slim chance that you're going to dip down into an average player. If you're top 50 at age 14, 15, college coaches look at that like, wow, she already has experience, she has the raw talent, and she has the extra factors that we need when we're looking into a player. Like the odds of this player dipping down into an average player when she gets into college is pretty slim. So they're going out and reaching out to freshmen and sophomores. When you're a freshman and sophomore emailing into those big schools, so the Big 12s of the world, the SECs, I feel like a lot of freshmen, sophomores aim there because that's what they know and that's what their dream is. But if realistically, if you're not top 50, they're reading your email and then throwing it out in a way. Like, yes, your name is still relevant in their head. So if LSU is truly your dream school, like they'll remember your name, but are they going to remember anything great about you? It's just like, hey, this kid's emailed me like 8, 9 times. Maybe they'll take a look at you, but they're looking hard at that top 50 for your class. And especially when it comes to scouting, a lot of coaches aren't looking at freshman and sophomore classes because at that time, you're probably like 14, 15 at that point. So thinking about girls and the way our bodies mature, we haven't even hit puberty yet. So if you're not in that top 50 and they're looking at you, they're just kind of like, all right, so this girl's all right. Like, let's wait for her to hit puberty first. Let's see where that growth spurt kicks in. Let's see if she gets Oshkin slaughters, that really common knee injury in soccer players. So there's a lot of like X factors that come into play, which is why a lot of coaches don't look at the other players in that freshman, sophomore class. Majority of the time, it is just that top 50.
Yeah. No, and I think that that is like really eye-opening to the fact of like, make use of your time. And I think going back
Yes.
to it, when you said, hey, what are the schools that interest you? What is your major? What are you trying to accomplish there? Are you looking to go out of state, in state? Are you looking to be close to home?
Yeah.
Do you want to travel? Like those are some things that kind of, as a person going to spend 4 years of your life, there's other factors that should play into it. I know being an athlete is, going to be taking up most of your time, being a student athlete, but
Yeah.
also there's other things that should make you happy about choosing that school and not just soccer, because that what
Yeah.
I think leads to burnout. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
Um so I think I like that you brought up that, the point of, hey, I mean, but you were already playing like club at freshman and sophomore year in high school.
Yeah.
So you had like stats and you had information on you. So do you feel like when you were emailing these big schools, like say LSU or SECs or ACC, do you feel like when you did email them that you were just kind of being put into almost like their email list to get you to come to like one of their camps so they can see you, or not so much?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of it is an email trap. What they're going to do is like an average player like me, freshman, sophomore year, the way I was structuring my emails too, I never had a highlight video in them. So imagine yourself in the coach's shoes. You're getting a freshman emailing you, hey, I'm playing at this tournament, come watch my game. But it's like, why? So the easiest response that they're going to do is say like, hey, like, thank you again for your email. I wanted to leave this camp information here for you. Like, we would love to see you attend one of our ID clinics. But it's like, I'm just happy I got a response back from them. I'm like, oh, wow, they're interested. They want me to come to the camp. I'm going. That's a lot of what my earliest mistakes were. But yeah, like regardless of if I did have a highlight video, it needed to be phenomenal because the way a lot of highlight videos are filmed and just like the raw talent I had at 14 and 15 compared to what I do now is not the same at all.
Mm, that's amazing. That's
Mhm.
awesome information. I think that that holds like a lot of weight as these students and these parents are looking to do like these highlight reels and these emails that, you know, at the end of the day, you are getting put onto an email list and saying, like, hey, come out to my camp. And then those camps also cost money to
Yeah.
attend,
Yeah.
right? So I guess maybe if you could break it down into like maybe 3 do's and 3 don'ts when you're emailing, I guess, and I think you're saying like email during more of like your sophomore junior year, like when you're starting to get like the colleges under your belt, understanding like where you're going and those types of things. So maybe just kind of like 3 do's and 3 don'ts of like emailing and recruiting process and your highlight reel going forward.
We'll start with the do's. First do is make every email personable. So it's being able to go out of your way and say, hey, I really want to come to Ryder because I saw you guys have an engaged learning program at your school where it will push me to be a better professional after I graduate. So being able to identify something so key about the school and preferably why you would want to be there besides why you're an athlete, not that like the women's soccer team has the best locker room that you've seen when you toured. It's, hey, like I really like this academic program because although a lot of kids think it's silly now, it really makes a difference once you hear, and like you were saying, it helps with the burnout.
Mhm.
Secondly, the second do would probably be get a feel of the school itself. So how I was talking about the LSUs of the world. LSU is a huge school. Ryder is a tiny school of 5,000. Just to put into perspective, the high school that I went to is the same undergrad size as Ryder. So for me, that was crazy. I was like, wow, I'm going to my high school all over again. But little did I know that's exactly what I needed. I thrive in a small environment. So being able to understand the school dynamics. And third do would probably be as specific as possible in your emails. You get about 30 seconds of a coach's time. They don't need 5 paragraphs why you have a 4.0, what classes you're taking. They don't care. They care about who you are as a player and who you are personality wise. Yes, academics are of course extremely important, but that's not what they're looking for in a recruiting email. Hey, here's my highlight link. These are the games that I'll be playing at upcoming. Would love to see you at one of these soon. Keep it simple like that. And always make it personable, not just a copy paste type of email. So I guess that will lead into my don'ts. Don'ts is quantity over quality. Doesn't matter if you're sending out 5 emails per week to different schools. What did you put in the email? Make sure you're being able to make it personable to the coach, why you want to be at that school, etc. I need to emphasize that one. Second don't is to not email schools ahead of time. So I think one of the things that I did that was really eye-catching to schools, how I mentioned earlier that I was emailing more out-of-state schools my junior and senior years, it's really hard for an out-of-state school to come and watch you. So let's say I was emailing a school from New York and I was in California living and playing at the time. How can I get this New York school to watch me? What I would do is I would go onto their travel schedule in the fall and I would say, oh, wow, they just happen to be playing a non-conference game in California and I'm 45 minutes away from them at this point on the same weekend. Let me let them know. So that shows like, hey, wow, this girl is really interested. She saw our schedule and she saw she would be playing a conference game 45 minutes down the road with us. And she left me the directions on how to get there. Making it as simple and easy for the coach as possible to find you and watch you play in person is probably the most key thing you can take away. Last don't would be to not have researched the school enough. I can't stress it enough that it's not about how great of an athletic fit it is for you. It's also about the social life, the academics. The more well-rounded you are at your school going forward in your college years, the better player you're going to be because you're just overall happier. You're more fulfilled. You're more enjoying what you're doing every day.
Awesome. That was amazing. That was so informative. I cannot wait to share this with student athletes that are in high school, parents that are helping their student athletes thrive and be, the best that they can be at that next level. So that was amazing. So I want to go into our last question because I think we covered a lot and this is great information. So I guess my number one question that I like to ask everyone, especially those have gone through it and now working with student athletes, is having played at the Division I level as a soccer player, looking back, is there something now you wish you could tell your younger self going into freshman year?
Yeah, it definitely would be to not stress out so much. I think we live in a state now where we're always comparing ourselves to other, just granted social media, different outlets of being able to see things. All of my teammates, I played on an extremely competitive club team. If you're familiar with the ECNL, for anyone watching this, you know how cutthroat that league is. I was watching my teammates commit freshman, sophomore, junior year. And it's really hard to see some of your best friends, not that I was mad at them, but it's really hard to see your like group that you got brought up with and having them commit earlier than you. So towards my junior year, I started to feel extremely helpless. It's like at this point, I'm not good enough. There's no way there's scholarships available for me. But that's because like understand the people that you're surrounded by. Those type of people that I was surrounding myself by were all top 50 players. I was not. I was always towards the end of my bench on that team, but I was glad that I was able to put myself in that situation anyways, let alone. But being around them definitely burned me out a lot faster than I should have, because it's like, hey, this girl just committed to a Pac-12 school her freshman year. And on the younger team, there was 3 girls that committed to USC in 8th grade. And seeing that as a junior in high school when they were younger than me was insane, absolutely insane. And I still got that Division 1 experience. And not only that, I was able to go to a school where I thrived professionally and I have a full-time job now. So it's like, hey, yeah, like those girls might have ended up at USC, but everyone has their own pace in life and you just need to let it flow. Who would have ever thought that the game I played, yeah, so how I got recruited to writer, pretty much short story, but we lost 5-0 that game and it was insane. We were in Seattle. It was an early 9 a.m. game for one of our tournaments, our showcases. We got absolutely battered by this team from Virginia. I probably touched the ball maybe 3 times in the half that the coach saw me. I wasn't even emailing Ryder. He just decided to come out to a random game, saw us play, and reached out to me immediately when we finished. I remember checking my phone after the game and I'm like, no way, this guy just emailed me. We lost 5-0. Did he watch the game? And when I got on the phone with him, he was like, Kaitlyn, I just loved how you never stopped running. Like you never gave up. You guys kept getting scored on, and not once did I ever see your mentality shift that like you were in a mode of giving up. So you never know who's watching, you never know who's there, and just never compare yourself.
Amazing. Kaitlyn, like you nailed it. It's something that I love this, that you just shared your story like that, because that holds so much weight and that can be so informative and so helpful with the non-comparing to others and just competing against yourself and never giving up. I mean, you said it, like you don't know who's watching, when they're watching, what they're watching for. And most of the time coaches are watching to see if you have the bad body language, to see
Yeah,
if you give up. They're looking at, how you hold yourself accountable, on the bench, off the bench, playing, not playing. Like they're looking at all these different factors that you might not think that they're looking at. You think that they're just looking at, oh, okay, like what's your numbers? No, they're looking about your story. They're looking to see who
yeah,
you are as a person first, a player second. So
yeah.
phenomenal, Kaitlyn. I cannot thank you enough for doing such a wonderful job. I think we have so much information to give parents and student athletes coming up into high school. So again, I want to thank you for your time today. And I hope to chat again soon. You are such a pleasure to chat with. I think you're so brilliant and so smart and sweet. And I can't wait to see what you do in the world. And I hope we can chat again.
Yeah, would love to. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Kaitlyn.